Welcome to Recovery Inspired Hope. Tonight, I have a special edition for you straight from Georgia, straight from the Georgia Recovers Ambassadors platform right here. I have Lisa Bryson. So excited. She's going to tell us her experience, strength, and hope, a little bit about her backstory, and share with us about her excitement to be a Georgia Recovers ambassador. Lisa, say hello to everybody.
Hi, hello. I'm honored to be here. Jamie, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
Yes, we are so excited to hear your story. So, okay, first of all, for the people who don't know what a Georgia Recovers ambassador is, will you let them know what that entails?
So, a Georgia ambassador, it has a lot of components to it. It means that I get to use my lived experience. I get to build hope in others. I get to meet legislators. I get to make a difference. And I get to give others the opportunity, an opportunity that I wasn't afforded. So it's a real big deal to me.
And you get to be on a billboard.
And I get to be on a billboard. Right. I get to be on a billboard.
Which is so exciting.
Billboard.
Which, I mean, the fact that Georgia is so serious about recovery that they would choose people to literally live their recovery so out loud that they will put you on a billboard and say, this is what recovery looks like. And that's what we're about to hear right now with Lisa's story. So Lisa, do you want to give us just like a little bit of a backstory of the the way that you grew up and what it was like in your life growing up?
Ooh. So my life was very traumatizing. It took me a long time to realize that it wasn't my fault, because I'd always lived my life believing that being a foster child was my fault. My mother and father were both addicted to heroin. Back in the 60s, heroin was a big epidemic in Harlem, New York. And both of my parents got caught up in that. And as a result, my sisters and brothers and I were often left alone. And then we ended up in foster care. Foster care was traumatizing. In the sense that there was molestation going on at the age of 12. I had done experienced a whole lot of things. And being from Harlem, I had already seen a lot of things. I'd seen a lot. And then to age out of foster care into the streets was even more traumatizing because there was no one there. There was no one there. At the age of 14, I found myself pregnant. I was, by the time I hit my second group home, I was pregnant. And then I think I'd gone through like 6 to 7 group homes. And then at 16, I ended up in the streets of New York City and in Brooklyn. And I did a lot of shoplifting. Nobody told me that every decision that I made was going to follow me for the rest of my life. Nobody ever told me that. So I stole and I went to jail, and I stole and I went to jail. And Jamie, I saw jail at first, I didn't see it. But then at 17, I ended up in prison. And when I ended up in prison, it was a whole new experience, for one. There were women there that were a lot older than me they were schooling me, they were educating me and telling me, this is not what you want, and I didn't want to go back and forth to prison. I'd already gone back and forth to jail throughout my whole, from 14 on up, I gotten arrested, and then 17, I'd gone to prison. But prior to going to prison, I'd gone to jail maybe 5 or 6 times in between because of my age. So I was reckless. A lot of my youth, I was reckless. and it was all fun and games. And I never thought about it. And then I did. I got sober and I stayed clean, and I relapsed. I hadn't faced triggers, a lot of triggers I hadn't faced.
Mhm.
And my ex-husband was one of them. I put our marriage on this high pedestal. And when he cheated, it took me for a blow. So I wasn't ready for it. I ended up in Ridgeview Mental Hospital. I stayed there 3 weeks, and then I came home and I hit the streets running. I didn't think about my children. I didn't think about anything. All I thought about was numbing the pain that had once again um, erupted my life. But the good thing about it, Jamie, is that a lot of my experiences, God used me in so many different ways that today I'm able to. And I know people say, golly, you know about everything. And it's because I can touch base on
Yes.
just about everything. You know, at 14, 15 years old, I was hanging out and shooting galleries. So I'd seen a lot. I'd honestly seen a lot, and I'd honestly done a lot.
Mhm.
And I don't even know how I'm sitting here. I know you probably hear me quivering. It's because I don't. It's all by the grace of God that I am even sitting here to tell the story today,
Absolutely.
because
And
there was no one.
it's so important too that you do have that experience, that lived experience that you remember, and it's so close to your heart because how many different people can you help because of the things that you went through? And I know we don't like to spend like a ton of time in the past and things like that, but that component is so crucial, especially in the peer movement right now, where I know more peers that can impact people than PhD psychiatrists. And, because peers who have overcome the things that you have overcome are so powerful and just so important in the world today, because in the world today it's not getting any better. So I really appreciate you being so out loud, so transparent, so raw and real about the things that you went through, because that is what is going to help somebody.
Well, I had to. There was this was 3 cycles. My mother was a foster child on drugs. I was doomed to be a foster child on drugs. I can assume that my grandmother had to have been on drugs at least to have given up her baby. So it was a cycle, and it was important for me to show my children that this is not life. So God afforded me both opportunities. I knew what it felt like to be sober, and I knew what it felt like to be strung out. I knew what it felt like, and I had a choice. This last time in prison, um, it was my pathway. NA wasn't my pathway. AA wasn't my pathway. Rehab wasn't my pathway. I had never been in a rehab except for Ridgeview, and I was in a psychiatric center. So, um, but I I thought it was fun, and then I started asking myself, you did this before. And who's going to take care of you when you get to be 40 and 50 and 60? Who's going to take care of you? And it didn't stop there. I ended up in Clayton County Jail,
Mm,
and they beat the living crap out of me.
wow.
They beat me so bad that they rearranged my face, and then they tried to press charges on me, and I won. I won my case, found not guilty, and went right on up to Alto. And when I came home, I had a decision. Am I going to chase Clayton County trying to sue them, or am I going to just go get me a job and go to work? And I was already a certified welder, so I went back to work. But it was that beating that made me say to myself, I'm not going to put myself in this situation ever again for
Mm,
nobody to beat me. I never seen that many boots
wow.
in my face. And it was 14, 13 male and 1 female. And so I made a
Wow.
decision. When I came home from prison, I said, if I pick up that crack pipe, if I pick up any drug, I'm going back to jail. and I'm in my 30s. I'm going back to prison, and this is not the life I want. I love to travel. I love nice. I love to do stuff. I love to spread the word of recovery because, see, when I was down and out, there wasn't nobody. People was running from me. Hide your pocketbook. Don't leave it in your house by yourself, by herself. Yeah, people were running from me. There was no recovery. And I know that there's still people out there that are ashamed. But if I don't speak up and say, hey, we all make mistakes, then who will? And when we all speak up, people hear us.
Yes.
And at one time, Jamie, I will say, at one time I was bitter. Oh, when I kid 38, oof, when I was a kid, I was bitter because I was like, wow, where was this when my mother and father was out there? Where was this? Where was this my first go round? Where was this? But it's all right because it's here now and I'm a part of it. And I get to use it every day. When I tell you I get to use my lived experience every day, I get to use it.
So what do you do for work now?
So I am a peer support specialist and I work for Mercy Care. And I have 32 peers that I get to build hope in every day. And some of them are still struggling. Some of them are still very deep in their substance use, but I meet them where they're at and I give them harm reduction and we keep it moving. And I show them I love them, I care, and we keep it moving. And when they're ready, like me, they'll come to me for those resources. So that's what I do today. I do outreach.
Awesome. I love that. And I love that the harm reduction movement is growing so much and really hoping to, keep stomping out that shame and stigma on it. And for people to be educated and understand what harm reduction really is and what our purpose is behind it, because it's very, very vital in this time, in this season with everything going on. So I think that is just amazing that you do that. Tell me about how did becoming a certified addiction recovery empowerment specialist change your life?
Wow. So before CARES, I founded a nonprofit and I wrote a book. And
wow, already?
The proceeds. Well, my book has been out for 2 years now. So I wrote the book and it was just a little test of the water, because I needed something to help me fund my nonprofit, which is called You Are, Unique as We Are. And it's for underprivileged teens. And so I had girls within the pandemic came along and squashed that out. So recovery has allowed me to own my home, to have an amazing relationship with my children, very honest, very open. They're very understanding. I have a grandson that'll be 1 on Thursday. So it's my first grandchild. It's allowed me to have the go-getter brain that I can do anything. I can do anything. So I'm in school. This is my 4th year. I can only do two semesters, but that has a lot to do with other stuff that went on during my addiction. I can do 2 classes per semester. So, but 6 months I should have my bachelor's. And
in what?
Business management with a concentration in administration.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it's allowed me to be an amazing wife to my husband of 11 years. Second marriage, I didn't think it was possible. And to work, to do something I love outside of welding, because I thought that I was going to have to be a welder, because who else is going to hire a felon? I'm like a 3-time loser. Jamie, it wasn't 1 felony, 2 felony.
Right.
I had 3.5 felonies. The half is because the last time wasn't me. I was with a child and she stole, but I was the adult. So, but anyway, I'm a 3-time loser. I shouldn't even be here right now. So I know that it's a purpose, and I know it's all God. And so
Mm,
I just walk, and whatever He tells me to do, I do. I wake up, God, what do I do today? And that's how I approach every situation. What would God do?
that is
And I
awesome.
remind myself of where He's brought me from.
Yes. And okay, here's a great question people ask a lot is how do you build a relationship with God where you can hear God and know what God wants you to do?
So I had that experience. I was in prison, and I just had my first child, my daughter. I wanted a child so bad. That was all I ever wanted. All my life was a child. So because I wanted something to love me, you know. And I was in prison, and everybody was getting mail, and you'd see on the TV the kids at the bus stop, all kinds of stuff. Anytime I saw a child, I'd bust out crying. And I remember sitting in my cell, and I asked God, I said, am I going to ever see my child? And it wasn't no, it said not now. And it came from my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, Zoe, it's my dog. It came from my stomach. And so I knew. And ever since then, because it took a while, because I kept asking God, why would you put me here by myself? Why would you do that? I have like nobody. Nobody cares because I'm on drugs. Nobody cares. I remember sitting in front of the church and just crying, like nobody cares about me, you know? But once I started talking to God, it just like the inner love. It just, I don't know, it just came.
Mm-hmm.
It just came. And I remember one day I was in Clayton County Jail, and the church had come in. Every Sunday, the church, would come in. And I said to the lady, I said, God talks to me. I said, I think I'm some kind of angel. And she looked at me and she said, well, what would make you think you're an angel? And I know she said it like that because here I am sitting in a cell. But I have always had this feeling of something shadowing me, honestly. And then I've had I don't know if they call them reformations or what they call them, but affirmations. There it is. I've had so many of them, like out of the blue, that I know it's God. Story. I was at a welding class learning how to weld pipe. Pipe is different than straight welds. Anyway, so I go outside, long story short, and I'm listening to the bench, Jamie, and the bench is buzzing. And I'm like, what the heck? And it's carpenter bees, but I don't know anything about carpenter bees. I'm a city girl. So the guy comes out and he says to me, oh, it's carpenter bees. I said, oh, okay. He says, yeah, but God has a message for you. I'm not out here trying to hit on you. He says, your life is about to take a big change. I didn't think anything of it. Then I start thinking, ooh, lotto, this, that. No, my ex-husband was cheating and I was about to lose my first house, end up in a shelter at Milton Avenue, which was disgusting, and then go from there to the Salvation Army with my children. And I did it. And I stayed there every bit of 2 months before he awarded me a job paying $27.50 an hour. So I've always followed.
Wow.
Whatever door he opens, I've always followed, and I just talk to him. And I praise him every day because I know I shouldn't be here. I know that. I have put myself in situations, abandoned buildings, all kinds of stuff, trying to stick up drug boys, all kinds of stuff. I've done it. I shouldn't be sitting here. So I have to tell my story, and I have to build hope in others and let them know that no matter what, nothing is too bad. Nothing is too bad or too big.
Right. And
And
that's
recovery
why
is possible.
no matter what, no matter how far down you went, no matter how bad it looks, that it is possible. You can completely turn your life around. And I love all these little things that you're talking about to be able to, let us see this other side of you. Cause when we look at you now, Lisa, we're like, no way, you did this.
And people say, but people used to tell me that when I was in the hotels, because I'm not gonna lie, I was upset about where my billboard went. My billboard is way out in Warner Robert somewhere. I haven't even seen it yet. But I frequent Riverdale, Clayton County, Fulton County. People know Keisha Jones.
Right.
People know me. Believe that. And I just so that's why I say I just want to spread the word that recovery is possible, because I've done some things. I have put myself in situations that only God could have gotten me out of. Only, you know. And now that I'm sober, I think about it, I'll be like, wow, you did that. Oof. You know, what in the world was you thinking about? Getting high, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for telling your story, for sharing with us about the great deliverance that happened in your life, and just talking about how, I believe God is he can be a stalker sometimes. He will chase you down.
Why? What? Why? 27 times. I've been to jail 27 times. I'm not talking about arrested. I'm not talking about arrested. I'm talking about jail. I'm 54 years old. I've done 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, 18 months, 1 year, 1 year, 18 months. So yeah, I've never even given Lisa a chance, ever. And that was God. He kept sitting me down. And he saved my first child's life. Because I didn't even know that I was pregnant, or that she was going to be born addicted to crack. You know? Yeah. So I know God sat me down every time. And every time I went to prison, I learned something different about me. And I got some counseling. And so that's how I was able to do it without NA or AA or rehab being my pathway. Because he kept giving me the tools. Every time he sat me down, I'd go to a class. I didn't just sit up in a cell. I did something.
That's great. That's great that you were able to do something and have some tools. And of course, there was purpose all for it, because you are the face of recovery out here, and was God's plan for your life, like the whole time, for you to
had to, because I don't have, when I say nobody, just me. Now I have my children. It was just me. I didn't have nobody I could call. Well, I had friends and sugar daddies and this and that. Right. I had that, but I didn't have any family. I didn't have anybody to say, hey, I love you.
Yep.
Yeah. And God made that possible too, because when my foster mother got ready to pass on, I was there for her to take her last breath. I left my home and went to take care of her. And I just wanted closure. Did you ever love us? And she said, I was 36 with 6 of you. There was 6 of you I was trying to raise at 36. And so that was my closure. So I know God, and yeah, recovery. And I thank him. And I thank him because he knew when I didn't know.
Thank you so much for telling your story and for sharing everything. And Lisa, where can we find your book?
Amazon. If you Google my name, Lisa Bryson, Brydson, it'll show you all the stores. Targets. You can get, like, I think they said the Kindle.
Awesome.
Or the audio book.
Awesome. I'll have to put a picture of it in the link. So awesome. All right. Well, thank you.
It's called The Faded Tears.
The Faded Tears?
The Faded Tears by Lisa Bryson.
Okay.
And it's me. Cute little picture of me when I was a little girl on the front.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you, Jamie, for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. And make sure you guys subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube. Make sure you get a copy of Lisa's book. I'm going to put it in the link in the description, and we will see you next time on Recovery Inspired Hope.